The EU's historic €1.8 trillion budget cleared its first hurdle yesterday when European leaders signed off on the package after 4 days of often tense negotiations. But that was just the start of the process, as Jack Parrock now reports from Brussels.
The European Union's landmark deal on its budget and a coronavirus recovery fund is now being pored over by European parliamentarians who will have to vote it through. The 4 days of talks resulted in a €750 billion recovery fund and an over €1 trillion budget, but laid bare the deep-rooted points of contention between countries.
Yes, we showed our divisions, but we also understood that Europe is stronger than these divisions. Overall, the plan is a plan addressing, first of all, the more affected countries, which is also the reason why of this plan, but it will be used to strengthen our economies.
In order to please frugal northern nations, budgets for EU healthcare schemes, research and innovation funding and cash pots to support poorer countries make their economies greener were all slashed. European Parliament President David Sassoli has already forewarned that they're likely to demand some money is put back into those projects. This does mean, though, that for the first time in its history, the EU's countries will shoulder debt side by side, with the European Commission using its AAA rating to get the best rates possible.
Just until a few weeks ago, this was unimaginable. We now have a package where the EU jointly borrows on financial market a very high sum and uses this money for cross-border transfers, which was something unimaginable just a few weeks ago.
The European Parliament is sitting extraordinarily on Thursday, where the demands of the House will become clearer. Jack Parrock, Euronews, Brussels.
Well, as we've just been hearing, there was lots of wrangling at the EU summit between northern and southern states, divided over the size and terms of the coronavirus recovery fund. The leaders say they're happy with the agreement, but how's it playing out at home? Well, it's here now from our correspondents Giorgio Orlandi in Rome and Samila Tushtitu, who's in Athens for us. Well, let's start with you, Giorgio, there in Italy. What's been the reaction to yesterday's deal?
Good morning, Talks. Well, Italy ended up with more resources as a result of the deal, although the frugal states won their battle as they pushed for the European Commission's proposal for €500 billion in grants to be reduced to €390 billion. Italy will still get €81 billion in grants, which is more or less the same as per the European Commission's first proposal, but the country will get more resources in loans. Prime Minister Conte's achievements were praised here in Rome by both coalition parties, the Five Star Movement and the Democratic Party. On the other side, the League party leader, Matteo Salvini, criticized the government and said that everyone is celebrating a deal that in the end is not good for the country, as the country will be subjected to tougher fiscal rules. But in a way, those achievements are seen as a way to strengthen the coalition government. And in fact, Prime Minister Conte dismissed any rumors that the government is on the verge of a breakdown, saying that his administration is strong. Let's now cross over to Athens to get more reactions from Greece.
So Athens is quite happy with the deal. Greece will receive more than €70 billion from the European budget and the EU Next Generation Fund. The Greek government says this is a golden opportunity for the country to reform its economy and put it on a more solid and sustainable basis. The pandemic crisis has hit tourism very hard. Greece is severely affected as 1/5 of its economy is based on tourism, and this has highlighted the need for the country to diversify its economy and develop sectors such as new technologies, green energy, manufacturing, etc. So the Greek government says that the plan that will be presented in October to the European Commission will be a comprehensive package of measures aiming at creating a modern and growing economy. As for the conditionality of the funds that will be received, Greece is not new to it. The country has pulled off 3 adjustment programs in the past 12 years. That was the condition to receive financial aid for its debt crisis. The last program ended just 2 years ago, but we are still under enhanced surveillance by the European Commission. So if the EU Next Generation program brings a new surveillance system, it will be business as usual for the Greeks.
Samila Tushtitu there from the Greek capital, and as well Giorgio Orlandi joining us from Rome. Thank you. Well, with more on what's ahead for the EU budget package, let's talk now to our correspondent in Brussels, that's Shona Murray. Shona, we saw yesterday how divided over the last 4 days rather, how divided the EU leaders were at the summit. Can we expect similar divisions in Parliament now?
Oh, I think so, Tokes. I think that certainly the divisions around the Council will be reflected in the Parliament. And already speaking to several MEPs, they're either quite unhappy with what was agreed or quite underwhelmed by the changes in the priorities. But I'm joined now by Eric Maurice, who is the director of the Robert Schuman Foundation think tank here in Brussels. Eric, it's over to the Parliament tomorrow. What do you think can happen?
Well, for the Parliament, they have demands they had demands for the amounts of the budget, they had demands for the recovery plan, and of course, as you said, they are not happy by the agreement the leaders reached on Tuesday. So now they have to express themselves in a way and try to wade into how this deal will be implemented, because they have to approve the EU budget, but they cannot change what has been agreed by the leaders. So when they vote, so they will have to maybe help the Commission fine-tune what has been agreed by the leaders to be more happy when they have to vote. But basically, politically, it's very difficult for them to say no to something which everyone has been saying for weeks now, that it's urgent, that the situation is serious, and that some kind of urgent money is needed. So for them, it's politically very tricky to do now.
It's because we saw the wrangling that went on over 4 days. I don't think anybody wants to reopen that. Having said that, David Sassoli, the President of the Parliament, intervened a few days ago and threatened to overturn any deal that he found unacceptable. Do you think that's likely?
You know, it's always like this with the EU budget every 7 years. You have a very difficult deal between EU leaders who protect and defend their national interest, and you have the Parliament who wants to play its political role, to want to affirm itself in face of the leaders, and who represents the citizens. And so you have two legitimacies and two ways of looking at the numbers. For the leaders, it's what we could reach realistically, and for the Parliament, it's what we would need ideally. And so at some point you have to reconcile this view, and in the end it's very often the Parliament saying, okay, well, we cannot amend the deal, so we have to say yes because it's the interest of the EU to get this money. And we are in this situation, whatever the Parliament's president says now.
So they're a bit caught. But one area that the Parliament has been quite strong on, which I think people believe was a bit weak in terms of the outcome of the deal, was around rule of law. Talk us through what was agreed, first of all.
So there was this principle of conditionality, which means that the EU money would be disbursed to member states if the rule of law is satisfactory. If you have problems, the Commission and the Council could decide to decrease or block the money that would be given to member states. So what the Commission proposed is to take measures, and to overturn this decision, member states would have to vote. And now it's to approve this decision, member states would have to vote by qualified majority, which maybe could make it more difficult to approve the measures proposed by the Commission. But at least it's a new instrument that the Commission is introducing and that could be used. We have to see how this works. But clearly it's one new instrument to try to defend the rule of law through the use of the EU budget.
While the language wasn't as strong as it was entering the talks, at least this issue of qualified majority voting is new. So for those concerned about rule of law, all is not lost, I suppose you could possibly say. OK, thank you very much, Eric Maurice. And back to you in studio, Tokes.
Shona Murray there in Brussels. Thank you.